Hey guys, welcome back to Sparkman Homestead. My name is Krista. We are now totally into the pantry challenge. Today is January the 6th, so we are on the 6th day of the Three Rivers Pantry Challenge. Today I actually want to get some breakfast stuff pre-prepped. I just usually eat like eggs in the morning and just like some cut up apples, but we have a lot of stuff going on lately and I thought today would be a really good day to kind of get some stuff pre-prepped. So I already have some bagel dough rising. I did take a clip showing you guys how I make that bagel dough. So once we get to making the actual bagels, I will put that clip in so you guys can see how I was able to prepare, or how I did prepare that dough. The other thing that I want to get pre-made today is I have some blueberries in my freezer that really have to get used up. It is a huge bag. These are some blueberries that I picked up from a local blueberry farm here in Kentucky. So those have been sitting in my freezer for a while, so I really would like to get them used. Steven is not a huge blueberry fan, so we don't tend to gravitate to the blueberries too much. So I'm gonna make a couple batches of blueberry muffins so that we can have those, or that I can have them for a really quick breakfast. The other thing that I wanna get pre-prepped, some overnight cinnamon rolls made. Steven has been on a cinnamon roll kick lately, and we have been getting the Pillsbury cinnamon rolls, and honestly I'm not a huge fan. They just taste off to me, and I think it's probably all of the preservatives in them. But now I'm gonna make a really big batch of these overnight ones, and then I think what I might do is I might take half of them and put them in the freezer. I'm gonna see how it goes. We'll play it by ear and see how that works out. The other fun project that I was actually getting done this morning, I didn't film it. That's not really good of me to not film that stuff, but I had a whole bunch of lemons in my fridge that were starting to kind of go bad. You know, one thing I actually find with the pantry challenge is that it almost, in a sense, kind of makes it like an every bit counts challenge for me. The reason I say that is because I feel like I see something in my fridge and it's going bad, and instead of wasting it, I need to get it used. And honestly, I'm not gonna use 20 lemons all at once, so it almost forces me to preserve the lemons so that I can save them, which I should be doing in the first place anyways, but needless to say, I got some preserved. So what I did, so I had probably about 20, maybe not quite 20 lemons. So I juiced all of the lemons. So this is just pure lemon juice here. I'm gonna put that in my freezer, and that is going to make excellent lemonade. I got this tip from Three Rivers Homestead, the one that is actually putting the pantry challenge on. She does this with bulk lemons, so I decided to do that. Then I took the lemons that after I juiced them and I put them in some vinegar. This is gonna be some cleaning solution for us in the future. And then all of the zest, so I zested the lemons before I actually juiced them. All of the zest I just put in this silicone little container, and I'm gonna put these in my freezer. And then whenever I want a recipe that calls for lemon zest in it, I'll just take a couple of these cubes and just throw them into the recipe, and then that way I have pre-done lemon zest for me. I do that with my garlic. I've actually shared that on a couple of my Instagram posts and a couple of my meal videos, and if you do watch my Saturday what we eat in a week style meals, like my pantry meal videos, you will see me using these little cubes. So I did the same thing. I got a huge bag of garlic, and I honestly am such a lazy cook. I don't like to mince garlic. I am really, really lazy. I find that it slows me down in the cooking process. So I just have been gravitating to using that pre-used stuff from Sam's Club. So what I decided to do was, with a big, huge bag of garlic, I think I got the bag of garlic from Sam's Club or Azure. I can't remember where I picked it up, but I took the huge bag of garlic. I minced all of that garlic up. One day, house smelled like garlic. It was heaven. I love garlic, so I don't mind it. My hands reeked like garlic for at least 2 days. But what I did was minced it all up, put it in those cubes, put it in the freezer, and now whenever I want pre-minced garlic for recipes, because honestly, I use garlic in everything. I love it, love it, love it. So put it in the freezer. Now I have pre-minced garlic that I can just throw in my meals, which is Perfect. So I may end up going and buying one more bag of garlic and making more because I will blow through that bag really, really quickly because, again, I use it in everything. We are just getting done the Christmas and New Year's season. We had the kids here, so I didn't get out a lot of videos for you guys because I was honestly just enjoying my little time that I have with them when they're home. I just try to soak it all in, and I just didn't want to turn the camera on and just kind of interfere with that special, precious time I have with them. They flew back home yesterday. It was a really sad day for me, but I've decided to immerse myself today in a whole bunch of projects so that I can just kind of get over them leaving. I honestly never get used to them flying back, so I just need to fill myself with a whole bunch of projects. Oh, the other fun project I wanted to show you guys. I'm not gonna do videos on it because honestly, I am just learning how to do it. But I have taken up crocheting. I'm learning how to do it. And my newest thing is granny squares. I'm learning how to crochet them. So what I've done 3 of them so far. What my plan is to do with those granny squares is I want to make myself a cardigan or like a sweater. Or if it doesn't work out, a blanket. And I'll just sew all of the granny squares together. But I am learning, so I am not comfortable sharing with you guys my crocheting because I'm horrible at it right now because again, I'm learning it, but it has been really, really beautiful. When my daughter was here, we just sat down and crocheted together and it was really, really nice. She's also learning. I kind of taught her and YouTube definitely taught her a lot more. So I think that's everything. So let's get started on making the blueberry muffins. I'm really excited about this. I love blueberry muffins. So what I may do is, because I'm planning on doubling it because this is the size bag we have, I can definitely make smoothies with these as well, which I might start doing in the morning or for lunch as like a quick kind of meal. I might start making smoothies with them because they gotta get used. But I'm planning on making the muffins and then we'll just throw some in the freezer and then hopefully that'll be fine. I'm throwing a lot of stuff in the freezer because there's just the 2 of us now and we honestly don't eat that much. So the freezer is gonna kind of be my storage spot. Okay, I need to actually get this lemon stuff put away and then we can get started with the blueberry muffin. Okay, so I actually decided that I was going to make a different kind of blueberry muffin. I realized that I had some oranges also in my fridge going bad. So I found a recipe for a blueberry orange muffin. I've had this recipe for a really, really long time. So I don't have a link for you guys because as you can see, I just printed it off of something. And again, I think this recipe is probably 20 years old. So I am just going to type out the ingredients for you guys and leave them in the video description. So let's get started. Being that we're in the pantry challenge, I have a whole bunch of this, it's this stuff, it's Azure standard bread flour, but it is like a whole red, oh goodness, my cutting boards fell. I used to make my sourdough with this bread, but I just found that it wasn't like rising enough. I have a whole 5-gallon bucket of this flour that I honestly don't gravitate to, and we are in the pantry challenge, so we are gonna get some of this used up in this recipe. It does call for 1 cup of regular whole wheat flour, but we're just gonna use bread flour and hopefully it'll work out. I mean, what's the harm if we get like more of a dense muffin? It's fine, I'll still eat them. I'm gonna bring you guys down so you can see what I'm doing a lot better. So the first thing I actually wanna do is get my butter melted. So we need what do we need? 1/3 cup of butter. So I'm just going to cut it there and get this in the microwave. The other really cool thing about this recipe that I found, it actually uses honey or maple syrup as the sweetener. So it does not have any white sugar in it as a sweetener, which is really, really good because I have some honey that I actually need to get used up as well. Okay, let's get our flours added to this big bowl. We're gonna start out with 1.5 cups of regular all-purpose flour. I am just using an unbleached. Then we're gonna use 1 cup of whole wheat flour, but again, I'm just using this stuff. We're gonna put in 1 tablespoon of baking powder. My baking powder, I don't know if you can see it, but it's really, really clumpy. So I like to use this sieve just to kind of get it unclumpy. We're gonna add 1 teaspoon of cinnamon and 1/2 teaspoon of salt. Just gonna whisk that together. In another medium-sized bowl, we are gonna combine our wet ingredients. So we need to add 1 egg. This is why I never ever add eggs to mixtures, because this one isn't a good egg. Okay, we have another egg. Let's try this again. I've rinsed this out. Okay, much better. We're gonna add 1 1/4 cup of milk. I am just using a whole milk to whisk this a little bit. So I let my butter cool down a little bit, and I think that's probably a good idea because you have to add it to this egg milk mixture, and I don't want to like curdle the eggs or anything to the milk, so I kind of let it cool down a little bit, and you might want to do that. The recipe doesn't say anything about that, but just to avoid adding like a really hot mixture to these really cold ones, we'll do it that way. We'll whisk in the butter. So my butter just got all unmelted because my milk is so cold. It doesn't say anything about having the milk at room temperature either. Might be a good idea to have it not straight out of the fridge. And then we're gonna add 1/3 cup of honey. You can definitely use maple syrup in this as well. But I think honey and orange and blueberries go really well together, so we'll do that. And then we need to have 1 teaspoon of orange zest. Let me just whisk this first. I'm just gonna eyeball 1 zest because I don't think 1 teaspoon of zest is gonna be enough for this recipe. So I'm just gonna eyeball it, and if we have more, perfectly fine. If I didn't have the fresh oranges, I was going to use my dried citrus powder. I made this a while ago. I just took the peelings from my mandarin oranges that I recently canned. Well, not recently, I did it a couple months ago. And guys, I have to let you know, they turned out horrible. I did not use enough sugar in the simple syrup portion of it, and they turned out really, really bitter. So I have to figure out a way to get them used because they're just really bitter. And I don't think it has anything, well, maybe it's the orange, because I have recently bought a bag of mandarin oranges and they were horrible. So maybe that's why they didn't turn out really well. I don't know, but they're not good. Anyways, took the peelings, dehydrated them, and now I have citrus powder. So if you don't have a fresh orange, dried citrus powder probably would work in replacement. Okay, and we'll just stir that all in, and now we're gonna take the wet ingredients and we're gonna stir it into the dry ingredients. It says stir until just moistened. You don't want to over stir this. Okay, that looks kind of all stirred in. Really don't want to over stir this. I think it's good. Okay, I have to go and get the blueberries now. It says you can use 1 1/2 fresh blueberries. I'm gonna use frozen, and it says to have them unthawed. So I'm just gonna put them straight into here. One of these blueberries has a huge icicle on it. I don't want that extra moisture in there. And we're just gonna gently fold them in. Keep stressing, do not overmix. That should be good. I gotta get my muffin tin out now. To wash my hands. Forgot to preheat my oven. It needs to be preheated for 400 degrees. So I'm gonna get the muffin, like these baking cups. I love these things. Every time I make muffins, I always tell you guys, just love them. So I'm gonna get those put in here, and then I think because I'm waiting for the oven to preheat, I'm gonna get my dishes done while that's preheating, and then we can get the muffins in. I love using these things. The muffins just slide out of them. They're a convenience item for sure. You don't need it. You could just put the muffins right in here, but these were on sale on Azure a couple months ago, and I picked up a couple boxes of them because they were on sale. Makes my life easier. I use my muffin scoop. This is it. I've had a couple people ask me what size it is, and I'm not sure. It just says this on, I don't know if you guys can see that or not. It doesn't have any number on it. It's a fairly large one, like when compared to my palm of my hand. But I wish there was a size on it. I think I ended up picking this up at an estate sale or Goodwill, somewhere there. So I don't know exactly what size it is. I'm just looking all over it to see. There's nothing marked on here. I did find something kind of similar to it on Amazon, so I can leave it linked for you guys, but this I use for all my muffins. Love them. We're just gonna scoop the batter into the muffin tins. I think this batter makes enough to make 12 muffins. I'm filling them rather full too. Yeah, we got exactly 12 muffins. Some of these blueberries still have ice on them. That's fine. Should be fine. Okay, so I'm gonna wait for the oven to preheat, and then we are gonna get these in the oven for 20 minutes. It says until the tops are firm to touch, so what I'm probably gonna do is do a toothpick check at 20 minutes because I am using stoneware, plus my oven is a little bit finicky with the temperature. Stuff takes a really long time to cook in it. I think I need to actually get it recalibrated. Okay, let me get my dishes done and we'll come back. Okay, our oven is preheated. We're gonna get our muffins put in. And we'll put them in for 20 minutes. And then, like I said, we'll come back and do the toothpick check. So I had mentioned that we were gonna make some cinnamon rolls together. I think I'm actually going to do that on my video that comes out on Saturdays for you guys because it takes 2 days to make them. We have to let them rise and sit in the fridge overnight. I don't wanna drag this video out for you over the 2 days. So I am gonna do the cinnamon roll recipe on Saturday's kind of pantry meal video. I'm just checking to see what our bagel dough looks like. It's looking good. I think that needs probably about 15 minutes. You gotta let it rise for about an hour. So we'll give that the time that it takes to cook the muffins. Once the muffins are done, then we will get started making our bagels because that is an amazing, amazing recipe. It's like a New York style bagel and I put everything seasoning on it. It's just super. And they usually last about 4 days in the pantry if you don't eat them all at once. I do also love to make sourdough bagels, but this is just a really quick, easy yeast recipe to make. If you don't have sourdough, I did want to show you guys that this is a really, really easy bagel one to make. So let's wait for the muffins. We'll come back, get the muffins out, and then we will start making our bagels. So we are gonna get started making our bagels. What I'm gonna do is just insert the clip right here, just showing you guys how I made the dough. After I made the dough, I let it rest for about an hour until it is doubled in size. So I'm gonna insert that here, and then when we come back, we will get them started. So to get started with the bagels, we are going to take 2 teaspoons of an active dry yeast and half a cup of warm water and 4.5 teaspoons of a granulated sugar. I just use an organic cane sugar here. And then you're gonna let that sit for about 5 minutes or until it is nice and dissolved and bubbly. It says not to stir it, but as you can see here, I stirred it and mine still got nice and bubbly. So after the 5 minutes or after your yeast has kind of gotten to this foamy state, you can see here at the bottom of the screen, you're gonna take 3.5 cups of bread flour. I used an all-purpose unbleached flour and it worked perfect. And then you're also going to add 1.5 teaspoons of salt, 3/4 cup of warm water and that yeast sugar mixture. And you're gonna add that all to a stand mixer and you're gonna mix that for about 10 minutes. You can do this with your hands, but it will be a workout to do this for 10 minutes. After it is completely mixed through and it's mixed for the 10 minutes, you're gonna take it and put it in a lightly oiled bowl here and just cover it with a damp tea towel and leave it sit for approximately 1 hour. Our timer went off for the muffins. Let's check them. The tops still feel a little jiggly. I think they probably need a little bit more time. No, the toothpick is coming out clean, so they're done. So what we need to do with the muffins is we need to let them sit in this for 5 minutes. And then after the 5 minutes, we'll come and we'll put them on a cooling rack and then we will taste one nice and hot with melted butter on it. Oh, I love it. Okay, let's get started with our bagels. This is my favorite part of making bagels. So that is the dough. It says until it's about doubled in size, so it's about doubled. So what we need to do now is we need to punch down the dough. So satisfying. Okay, so now that we punched it down, we need to let this rest for another 10 minutes. My recipe is on As you can see, it's a printed down recipe. So again, same with the muffins. I will leave the actual ingredients linked for you, or not linked, typed out for you guys in the video description. So we're gonna let this rest for 10 minutes. While I was waiting for the dough to come down, which the dough is now done, so we can move to the next step with the bagels, I tasted a blueberry muffin. They were not cooked through. They were kind of raw in the middle, so I put them back in for another 5 minutes. Obviously the toothpick check is not working for me, so I guess we're gonna have to take one out and test it again. They are really, really delicious though. Oh, my glasses keep fogging up every time I go into the oven. Okay, let's take this one. I'm taking one of the bigger ones because that one, if something is not cooked through, that'll most likely be the one. Very hot. Because I'm taking it out of the oven and eating it. Let's see. I need a knife. Let's see if it's cooked through. Yeah, that's better. It just needed another 5 minutes. But oh, so good. So good. Worked perfect using the bread flour. This is a really delicious muffin. And because it's got the whole wheat in it, it just gives it a little bit of extra substance. I really like them. That is a good recipe. Let's get the bagels divided up because there's a whole bunch of just do this step, wait 10 minutes, do this step, wait this 10 minutes. So we're on to the next step to wait another 10 minutes. Alrighty, we're gonna get the dough out and then we are gonna divide this into 8 equal pieces. I just eyeball this because I'm not that particular about. I will, like, you see this piece is way smaller than this piece, so usually what I end up doing is just taking this like this, and we need to shape each one of these into round circles. So to do that, I just kind of take the dough and just kind of do this with it, and then roll it in a circle. That's gonna be too small. Okay, and now we're gonna take that damp towel and we're just gonna cover these again, another 10 minutes. Okay, we're ready to move to the next step. I got an egg all washed and cleaned, and I also got my everything bagel seasoning. I pre-make my own. I just reuse this bottle. It is so easy to make. I think I actually did a video showing you guys kind of how I make my seasonings. If I can find it, I will leave it linked for you. But I think I might do another video soon, just kind of showing you guys maybe an updated version of how I make my seasoning mix. So I'm just taking the wet, damp cloth off of our bagels. The other thing I have back here is I have some water boiling. You need to get a large pot of water to a boil, so I'm just going to turn it down a little bit because it's kind of going a little hard. So with our bagels, what we're going to do is just take it. It recommends using a floured finger, but I usually don't. I'm just going to poke a hole through it and just do this with the bagel. Just kind of want to make it a round. And you're going to do that for all 8 of them. This next step, the time really depends on how chewy you like your bagel. I like them really kind of chewy, so I put these in the hot water, this boiling water, for 2 minutes per side. You can do 1 to 2 minutes depending on what you prefer. The longer you keep it in here, the more chewier the bagel is gonna be. So we're gonna do 2 minutes. Set the timer, and then after the 2 minutes, we're gonna come flip them and then put them for another 2 minutes. I have a baking pan lined with some parchment paper here. So as soon as these are done, I'm just gonna put them onto this parchment lined paper, or this baking sheet lined with parchment paper. I can't talk right now. Okay, we're at 2 minutes, so we're just gonna turn them over. Set it for another 2 minutes. While that 2 minutes is going, I'm gonna make a quick egg wash. So I'm just gonna take 1 egg, put it into this bowl, and then, this is why I wash my eggs. And then we're gonna add a little bit of water and just beat that up. So we just beat that up, and then I also have a pastry brush, so we're just gonna move that over to the baking tray. Alrighty, they're done. We're gonna take them out, put them on our baking sheet. Kind of make sure that the water is somewhat drained out of them. We will get our other 4 in here. Start the timer for 2 minutes for those. Okay, so the ones we just took out of the water, we're gonna take our egg wash and we're gonna brush the top with the egg wash. Now you can top these with whatever you like. You can even just leave them plain if you like a plain bagel. We just really love the everything bagel seasoning. Some other really good options. I found this at Aldi a while ago. It's like a jalapeno everything bagel. That is really good as well. You could put like this stuff from Trader Joe's. It's a cheese topping. You could also put like jalapenos and cheddar cheese on these. Anything you like, cinnamon sugar. Options are endless, but we just love the everything bagel. So I'm just gonna take this and just sprinkle this on the top of them. The other thing, I have my oven preheated at 425 degrees. Our timer's gonna go off. We have to flip these ones. Okay, these ones are done. Turn the heat off. Wash on these ones. Funny because when we buy bagels, like everything bagels from like Trader Joe's or a store, any store, Steven always complains that they hardly put any seasoning on them. So I tend to go a little bit overboard when adding the seasoning because we both kind of like them to have a lot of the everything bagel seasoning on them. We are gonna get these into the oven for 20 to 25 minutes. Depending on your oven, I always go 25 minutes and I know that that's perfect for the bagels. Set the timer, remember. Our timer went off and I can definitely smell them. They are done. So let's get them out of the oven. Take my glasses off so I don't fog up. There they are. So delicious. So what I'm gonna do is let these kind of cool down for a couple minutes and then I put them on a wire rack and just let them cool down on that. And then that is our bagels. They're really delicious in the morning with a fried egg on them and a little bit of mayonnaise. And sometimes they even make like a chipotle sauce. Just delicious. So that is gonna be it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it and I hope I gave you a little bit of easy ideas to pre-prep for your breakfast. I was able to use a couple of things in my pantry, which that's the whole reason we're doing this pantry challenge. And I've heard a couple of people say, well, why would you be doing a pantry challenge when food costs are so high? Like, why would you be depleting your storages? And I've heard many other people say this and I'm just gonna repeat it. I do this pantry challenge not to eat through my stored goods. I do this pantry challenge to eat through the stuff that I preserved last summer from my garden because I need to make room for stuff that I'm going to be growing this year. Now I always preserve, or at least I try to preserve, at least 2 years worth of stuff. So even if my garden does not do good this year, I still have a backup of about a year's worth of stuff preserved. So I kind of make sure that, but there's stuff in my pantry that I haven't gravitated to. Like for a prime example with those muffins, like I had that whole wheat flour that I really have to get used, but I just keep gravitating to my regular all-purpose flour that I love. And I just kind of let that sit there. So I'm gonna make a focus this pantry challenge of really trying to get that flour used up through this so that it doesn't go rancid, because flour doesn't last. Once it is ground, it doesn't last very long. So I want to get that used up and just really challenging myself to use stuff that I typically wouldn't just use because it takes more research to find a good recipe for. So that's the reason I'm doing the pantry challenge, is not to deplete my storage goods. In fact, I still kind of, if I find something on sale, I still stock up on stuff well on the pantry challenge. I just don't use it during that pantry challenge time frame. But if it's on sale, I'll definitely get it to have it available for when the pantry challenge is done. But that that is gonna be it. Again, I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Thank you so much for watching. It really does mean quite a bit to me. And thank you so much to all of my subscribers. I really, really appreciate you hitting that subscribe button. And I hope you guys have a great day or night whenever you're watching this, and I will see you on the next video. Bye guys.